Welcome to episode 1 of Failure Isn't Fatal, Fall and Rise podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Loudenberg, and today I'm with Nicole Evans.
Yes.
Okay. On today's episode, we're going to talk with Nicole about her life with leukemia, her diagnosis, and her motivation through it, and her life now, and we're just going to jump right into it.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Nicole Evans. I am 27, just turned 27, and really excited to be here today and shed some light on some really important topics around health, fitness, motivation, and just how they combine all together to provide an overall well-being in life.
Well, we're excited to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So, why don't you tell us a little backstory about your diagnosis?
Yeah, so I love when people ask me that because I remember the day like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I was 7 years old. This was in June of 2001, I believe. So I went to Palm Springs, and if you've ever been to Palm Springs in 2001 or during the summer months, you know it's like 115 degrees.
Oh yeah, it's blazing hot.
It's blazing hot. Yeah. So I had this new like Cheetah Girls bikini that I was so eager to share off because I'm a 90s baby. And I was strutting it, but I was freezing. And I was like just like shivering to the point that I was sitting in the jacuzzi.
Okay.
When it was 115.
Yeah, something's not right with that.
It was a little odd.
Yeah.
And I knew that was kind of weird because my friends were swimming in the pools and they were being normal kids, and I'm just sitting here like shivering in the jacuzzi. Even the jacuzzi is like still heated up. And I kind of noticed some weird bruises on my knees that just didn't look right. They were almost like squishy and just abnormally large. They're not like they're not like a kid fell and scraped their knees, you know. Right. It's just little things that I don't think that are abnormal. And a little further backstory is my mom is actually a registered nurse. So she's been a nurse for 35 years now. And so she was like, yo, something's up with my daughter. And especially when I got out of the jacuzzi and said, I need to go inside. I need to go curl up in blankets. Like,
trying to get warmer.
I'm trying to get warmer.
Yeah.
And so she called my physician and she said, I need to bring my daughter in right now. Like, I think she has leukemia. And so...
Okay, so your mom kind of knew what those signs were.
She called my physician. We went in, we did the blood work. I actually fainted from the blood work because I was just so weak, frail, like, I don't know. That just scared us that much more. Yeah. And my mom got a call the next day, and they're like, yeah, you're right. She has leukemia.
Okay, so your mom was spot on.
She was spot on.
And that probably helps with early diagnosis then?
I mean, yeah. We definitely had her as a resource. Yeah. All her doctor friends as a resource. And that was probably a game changer for sure.
Right. Because otherwise you might have gone in for testing and they might not know exactly what to look for, but with her expertise, they kind of knew what they were looking for.
Right.
Okay.
So we went in, they said you had to come in right now. Yeah. And I was like, no.
As a kid.
Yeah. And because I just fainted the day before, and there were needles. And
I'm done.
I'm like, no. So she called my dad, who's more stubborn than me, and said, we're taking her there, literally kicking and screaming. Yeah. And that was day one. So I was admitted, and immediately they started just poking and prodding and poking and prodding. And I was actually so small, because I was like 50 pounds, that they were having to basically poke and prod me in my thighs, because that was like the only place it would take.
Thickest
at the
spot.
same time.
Yeah.
Like 4 needles at once. Like, it was just like from the get-go. And that was day 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
It was
intense
an
first
eventful day.
Yeah.
Tense first day. And I remember asking my mom, was like, am I gonna die? And she just like didn't even have a response, because being an RN, she knew the road that was to come.
Yeah, it was going to be hard.
It was gonna be tough, yeah.
Oh, that's got to be tough, knowing what's coming ahead, and
Right.
with your child not really knowing what's going on, and
Yeah.
how to explain that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, this was my new normal, and it obviously took a big adjustment.
Yeah.
But once I kind of adapted to being in and out of the hospital 3 times a week, I was just like, okay, this is what we
Got
do.
used to it.
Yeah.
It's a normal routine.
And it's not something that I guess ever really sits well with you, but it's just like, stop playing the victim card. We're going to take it and roll with it. You know what I mean? Roll with the punches.
It's a pretty good attitude for a kid.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I took it, at least. Yeah. So I could do.
Yeah. Well, you have 2 options at that
Mm-hmm.
point. You can either cry and pout and throw fits about it, or complain about it, and that doesn't really help any situation. Or you just, grit your teeth and go through it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you were diagnosed. You said you were 7.
Yes.
So after that, you began treatments, and how long did that go on?
Yeah. So I had a little bit of another hiccup before I started treatment.
Okay.
So within the first, I would say like 3 weeks of treatment, I had a seizure.
Oh, okay.
And my mom, again, being an RN.
Was that caused by the treatments, or?
Well, no, that's the thing.
Okay.
She's like, okay, like, this isn't part of the road. This is something separate.
Right.
So we had an infectious disease specialist come in. They did an MRI in my brain, and I had an infection in my brain. So it was kind of like a tumor, but it was on this side of my brain, and it was a fungus. So if you've ever heard of like aspergillus,
Okay.
that like lives in your house,
Yeah.
like everybody has mold in their house. Mm-hmm. They think that I was exposed to mold while my immune system was so low, and my immune system couldn't fight it off.
Okay.
So it was just like it was gonna grow in my
Just
brain.
stacking everything on top of each other now.
Stacking everything on top of each other. And the hospital I was at actually said, they're like, we don't even know what this is, like, let alone how to treat it.
Wow.
So, another blessing, my mom's best friend, her husband said, we have some trial drugs, but it's going to require brain surgery. So, we moved hospitals. We went
So, you have to take care of that before you can treat the leukemia.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I didn't have any immune system, and like it was just going to be game over. So we moved hospitals to Chalk, which is, God bless them all there in Orange County. And they ended up having to do 2 brain surgeries, and the trial drug took. And I'm like one of the first people in the world to ever overcome this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had 13 stitches in my head.
So is your name like in a medical book somewhere there?
Probably. I may never make it to Guinness World Records, but it's out there somewhere.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, so that was such a huge blessing, because my chance of fatality was 99.9%.
Wow.
So
That's
it was
pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah. They were just dumbfounded. And that I had come out alive.
Yeah.
And they said, even if she does survive, she's probably going to be paralyzed on the left side of her body.
Oh, so it wasn't looking good at all.
No. So, and then I was able to start treatment and go through chemotherapy right after that. So then 2.5 years of treatment, chemotherapy, and then I was cured September 13th, 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after the multiple brain surgeries
Yeah.
and stuff, I mean, did leukemia treatment seem kind of like more of a breeze? You know, like, hey.
I mean, that's a great question. I've actually never been asked that because cancer is such a huge thing.
Yeah.
But
with 99.9%,
Yeah.
you're gonna die,
Yeah,
and you survive that. I mean, the odds of surviving leukemia, I imagine, would have to be a little bit greater.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, I got done with the hard part. Now,
well,
the easier, still hard, but
Yeah.
easier than.
yeah. So I think my child's mind just kind of all grouped it together.
Yeah.
But
all one thing.
Yeah, all one thing. But nowadays, I think the leukemia survival rate for what the type I had, which was acute lymphoblastic leukemia, is 95% survival rate.
Oh, that's pretty high. Yeah.
So it's compared to 99% fatality rate.
Right.
I would say, yeah. I was like, okay, let's do this, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, obviously your family was very heavily involved in this.
Definitely.
Did your family and your friends like help encourage you through it? What gave you like the motivation to say, hey, I got this, I can do it?
Yeah. So I love that because my family all played different roles. My mom was the nurse that had the knowledge, the resources really to get me to the right people and fight for me. My dad, he was crucial in making sure like insurance, bills, things like that were there. He was also fabulous at bringing the food I craved because I was on so many meds and steroids that it makes you just crave one thing all the time. And then it's like a flip of a switch. Do
you know what that one thing was?
Yeah, so it bounced around a lot. It was mac and cheese from only Claim Jumper and Ruby's.
So not just like the blue box.
No. It had to be like from a specific restaurant.
Okay.
And then for a while, and I still love mac and cheese, but then for a while it was Charo chicken. Chicken, still fabulous. And then what else? Like I had just the butter noodles.
Okay.
So you could tell I like carbs.
Yeah. Big on it.
But then like I'd have a visitor and then the noodles would still be sitting there and I'd be like, I can't eat these. These look terrible. I'm gonna vomit.
Oh,
like
so it changes like that.
Like it's like that.
Yeah.
It's a trip. It's a trip.
Well, I guess that's one of the perks though of going through something like what you did. You pretty much get whatever food you want. No one's gonna argue with you and say, no, you can't have it.
Some people were just angels through that. Like some of the waiting staff at Ruby's and Claim Jumper, they knew us. They gave us gift cards. They,
so
they took care of us. Because when I say I was there every day, I mean every day. And the one on the pier, like we made that walk every single day out there. And so my grandma would walk me out there every single day. I would get exercise that way, at least as much as I could at the time. And my grandfather, God bless him, he started this thing called Broom Monster. So
what was it?
Broom Monster.
Broom Monster. Okay.
He's gonna be so embarrassed that I'm telling this story. So he would basically chase me and all my friends around with a broom, pretending to be like a monster with a broom.
Broom Monster.
And it was supposed to, without me knowing, give me exercise and keep me rehabilitated.
You think you're playing.
Exactly.
But really, you're running around. And running is great exercise.
I literally didn't find this out until like 2 years ago.
Oh, so recently.
Like Broom Monster is a staple in my life.
Do you still play?
Well, I wish, but like it became a thing among my friends, and every Friday night was Brew Monster.
I'm sensing a game of Brew Monster coming in your near future.
Yeah. So there were little things like that, but everybody in my family really had their own role, and I think it was also their own way to cope with what was going on, because this affected everybody
right,
differently.
Not just you.
Yeah, no.
Do you have any siblings?
No, I do. Yeah. So I have a younger brother. He kind of he was with my dad, or he was with, you know, whoever could babysit. Like it was hard on him, arguably harder on him than it was for me, but just in a different way.
Right.
And he and I, to this day, he's 24 now, we've had long, deep talks about it. And I think in a way, at the time it drove a wedge between us, but now we've become a lot closer because of it.
I could see that. He kind of maybe a little bit resentment as a child, where he doesn't fully understand that you're really sick, and he just doesn't understand why he has to jump through all these hoops all the time.
Exactly. But now he's told me, he's like, I know if it was if it was reversed, it would be the exact same, and you would do the same for me. Like, we have each other.
Yeah, well, that's because you guys are close. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of times it's something that people don't think about when they think about someone being sick or injured or anything, how hard that could be on the family as well. Because it's not just that person, it's everybody involved in your life has to.
And to this day, I think everyone in my family has their own deeply rooted scars from it.
Yeah, of course. It's
just a matter of, you know, finding your coping mechanism to heal properly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said 2004?
Yes.
Okay, so it was quite some time ago.
Yeah. So I've been in remission for 17 years now.
That's a long time for
remission.
It's a long time. That's a good sign.
Yeah. 2 days ago was World Cancer Day, actually. So, you know, every day, I consider every day a blessing. Right. But, you know, things like that, when they really take a day to acknowledge, you know, this is World Cancer Day. Yeah. You know,
and bring more awareness to it, because it's really aware in your life, obviously.
Definitely.
You'll never forget that.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
being in remission, there's always the chance that it could come back.
Yeah.
Are the chances lower now that it's been so long, or are they still just as high as it was 10 years ago?
Great question. So they kind of give you some markers. So like once you're 3 years out, it's like, okay, we're feeling good.
Yeah.
Once it's 5 years, you're pretty much, you know, green light. So I remember getting cards and stuff at the 5-year mark, 2009. I think a lot of people do, and maybe a little bit myself, always have a little bit in their mind, like, what if?
Yeah.
But I really try not to live my life like that.
Right, you can't fear it.
You can't fear it, because then are you really living?
Right, correct.
You know? And having been so close to death so many times, that's not how I want to live the rest of my days. So even if I died tomorrow just by some freak accident, I want to make sure I'm not dying with regrets. You know,
of course, live your life to the fullest.
Exactly.
So
it's such a cliche, but it's so true.
There's a lot of cliches I found tend to be true, as cliche as they can be. Mm-hmm. But other than your near-death experiences as a child, have you tried to stay away from near-death experiences in your adult life?
Well, I do want to go skydiving. That's like a bucket list item, just because I feel like that's going to be like the thing that's like, you know, it's a big adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But I am an adrenaline junkie. Adrenaline junkie, for sure. I like taking risks, doing those things, because that's part of my definition of living my life to the fullest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will not be joining you skydiving.
That's okay. That's okay. I probably wouldn't do something like, I just saw that movie Jackass Forever.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
It's really good.
I've seen the previous ones.
There's some things like I wouldn't cover myself in salmon and honey and go play with a bear.
That
You know
sounds
what I mean?
like a terrible. Yeah.
Like
okay, yeah.
I have some rationale.
They take it to the extreme.
Yes.
Yeah. Skydiving's a little more on the normal side,
Right.
in comparison to that.
I've jumped off the Stratosphere Hotel in Las Vegas.
Okay.
That was fun. 108th floor. Did that. That was really fun.
I won't do that either with you.
It was fun. It was fun. But, you know, I like things like that. Rock jumping, you know.
Yeah, okay.
Adventures. One's for the books.
I've always thought that I would like base jumping. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I could ever bring myself to actually just jump off. I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good metaphor even for life in general. I think jumping is the hardest part, whether you're literally jumping out of a plane or jumping off a building or
just jumping towards something new.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
Jumping in towards your relationship, towards quitting your job and starting over, or anything.
Anything, yeah.
A lot of people don't want to take that jump.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of how I, it definitely took a while, I feel like, to get to that point.
Yeah.
But I'm like a go big, then go home and take a nap type person.
I've always said, go so big, you have to go home.
Exactly. So.
Hopefully not going home broken, though.
No, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. That's kind of my philosophy on how I prefer to live nowadays.
Okay. I think there's a lot to be learned from that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you doing these days as far as your career goes, and how does your past and your brain surgeries and all that play into who you are now and why you've decided to do what you do? Yeah,
so I think it's contributed 100% entirely to who I've become today. I've really adopted that I have one life to live. I have to make the best of it.
A lot of people never learn that lesson.
Right. And I almost look at all of these trials and tribulations as a blessing. Yeah. As weird as that sounds. Because otherwise I wouldn't have that deeply rooted into who I am and my character.
Yeah, you'd be a completely different person.
Yeah.
Who knows where you'd be?
I mean, yeah, exactly. I wonder that all the time. And I really, truly believe I would be, I don't want to say worse off, but a little bit worse off. Meant in a mindset state.
Right. You might not appreciate life as much.
Exactly.
More most people don't appreciate life.
Or just realize the fragility of it.
Yeah.
So right now, I actually did professional bodybuilding for 4 years.
Well,
so
that's intense.
Fitness was a big part of my recovery, obviously, but I played soccer throughout my treatment. So I stayed active, and I value activity, physical activity, so much. And so when I found weight training, that became crucial for both mental healing, emotional healing, because it made me feel stronger.
Right, kind of that subconscious, I was weak when I was a kid, and now I want to do something to make myself as strong as I can.
Nailed it.
Mentally and physically.
Mentally and physically, exactly. So I did competitive bodybuilding for 4 years and love that, but I kind of hit a point where I was just like, I want to do this for me. I don't want to do this for trophies and validation. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't need that. So
kind of a mindset shift.
Yeah. So I also teach fitness classes. Love teaching fitness classes. So fitness
is still a really big thing in your life.
Yeah. It's an active part of my life, and when something's active in my life and has provided me with so many blessings, I have to share it with other people. So it's
makes sense.
Crucial that I spread the health, for sure, whatever that is. And I also own my own media business now. So I do a lot of web design, nerdy tech stuff. But
a lot of coding.
All that stuff. Yeah. And I just always loved math and stuff as a kid. Like, my mom used to bribe me to take like all my handfuls of pills, and then she would give me more math problems to do.
That was your reward. Yeah, you got to do math.
To do math problems, literally.
So, your childhood was much different than everybody else's.
Yeah,
every other kid wants candy.
I loved all the nerdy stuff and puzzles, and as like a little kid, and
so your mom's over here like, I'll give you a Snickers if you take your pills, and you're like, no. How about some multiplication?
Yeah, like give me the 4-digit multiplication problems. Like,
let's do some long division.
Yeah, literally, it was so weird. Like, I'm a weird child, but,
to say the least.
Yeah, but yeah, so that kind of played into academics was a big part of who I was. And after I had my brain surgeries, academics didn't come as easily as to me. Not saying it like dumbed me down, but I wanted to prove that I could build my own empire for myself and govern my own life. So it really pushed me into entrepreneurship, pushed me into the digital fields, and fitness pushed me into the digital fields. And so I went to college for marketing and started my own company in college.
Okay. So it kind of like, you had no control over what happened to you as a kid. Mm-hmm. And so your mentality was, now I'm going to do everything I can to control my mind, my body, my life, and make it what I want it to be, and not let somebody else dictate it.
Right.
That's awesome.
And, I always have this phrase that just like sticks with me. Like, even when it gets tough now, whether it's with the company or fitness or whatever, I just have to remind myself to stay the course, because like I didn't fight this long to just like give up now, honestly.
Right, you've come a long way.
Yeah. And thank you.
So is that kind of like your mantra, stay the course?
It really has been recently, because sometimes I do doubt myself, and I think everybody does.
Yeah, I definitely doubt myself.
Yeah, everybody does. And so I just have to keep telling myself, like, stay the course. And, I think Will Smith said it. He goes, you don't need a plan B if you stick to plan A.
That's kind of like the old philosophy of burn the boats. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember where the story actually comes from, but the gist of it is if you're going to battle and you arrive on this island, if you burn all of your boats and basically eliminate your escape route, you have no choice but to fight forward and win.
Right. Because
you eliminated your option B. You literally burned the boats. So that's kind of same thing.
Yeah. So it's definitely been a journey. It's still a journey with my health too. But I just have to remind myself to make the best of every day. Take every day as it comes and stay the course.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Congratulations on your many, many years of remission.
Thank you.
Hopefully many more to come.
Yes, I hope so too.
So what's next for you as far as like your company goes, and then just overall general
Oh, that's a great question. So, without saying too much, I'm just kidding. I'm definitely diving into opening new avenues of my media company. So that's going to be going into NFTs. That's going to be going into the crypto world.
All the big stuff right now.
Definitely going that way. Yeah. So I want to expand it out that way. I'm also working as a marketing consultant for a couple companies that are working in some unique fields for cost reduction right now.
Okay.
So we have some pretty big clients we're trying to bring on board right now, and I'm really excited for that as well.
Oh, that's exciting.
And then I'm just saying if you can get moving once a day, get to the gym or do something outside, that's a win in my book. The micro wins, there's still wins. Yeah.
Yeah. Turn off Netflix for a minute and
right. I'm a Netflix
walk your dog.
addict. Oh yeah. Yes.
I'm a Netflix addict as well.
Yeah, I just saw that new Kristen Bell show. I watched it in one sitting.
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, it's called The Girl in the House Next Door from the Girl in the Window.
Yeah, okay.
It's a really long title.
Yeah, really weird title.
Really weird title.
Very specific.
Very, very good.
Okay.
Very psychologically stimulating, for sure.
Okay, interesting.
But anyways, I'm getting off track.
So, what's the name of your company?
Nicole E, as in my last name, one initial, Media. So
Nicole E Media.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're kind of in the process of rebranding right now, but hopefully that'll be done within the next week or so, and then we can start branching into these NFTs worlds and back to my nerdy tech roots there
where you
too.
thrive.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, is there anything else you want to say?
Go Rams.
The Super Bowl.
Super excited for the Super Bowl, for sure.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I think
do you have any money on it? I would think with your love for math, you should be good at probabilities. And
I might put some money on it.
Is that using your powers for evil?
maybe. I'm also, I like betting on the UFC fights, crypto there. So there's a good fight on tomorrow night I'll be watching, but I'm
more so on the fights than on the football games then.
Yeah, football games, I'm there for the food and
the
wings, halftime
right?
show, Snoop Dogg.
Oh, yeah.
That's
a
my boy.
big one. I wonder if anybody, under 20 even knows who Snoop Dogg is.
I know, right? All the Gen Zers. So I'm gonna lose myself at the halftime show.
I've seen all the TikToks, all the parents preparing.
Oh my gosh, the parents are ready. Parents are ready.
I don't think the kids are ready.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So.
All right, well, I think that's it for this episode.
Well, thank you so much again for having me.
Oh, thanks again for being here.
Of course.
It's a great honor. Yeah. And for the first episode.
Yeah, definitely not the last.
Hopefully not the last.
Yes.
We'll see how it goes from here.
Okay.
So thank you guys for listening. For more on Nicole, you can find her testimonial videos about her leukemia and experience with that on our website at fallenrise.us. You can also check us out on Instagram at fallenrise.co. And tune in on the next episode where we're going to speak with a good friend of mine, Forrest, who lives his life with autism. So it'll be
Forrest.
a good experience. We're going to hear about how he deals with that and all the things that come along with being a person with autism in today's world. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.